Are you from St. Louis originally?
Yeah, man, born and raised.
Where in St. Louis? What part?
I was born in a place called Elmwood Park, which is kind of right outside. It's part of Overland off of Page.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
170
Yeah.
kind of. That's where I was born. And family was kind of originated Webster and Kirkwood, the
Okay.
urban parts. But
I'm just south of Webster and Afton.
oh yeah, you
Yeah.
know right where it's
Uh-huh.
at. But my
Absolutely.
childhood, I was raised North City, North St.
Mhm.
Louis, around the Grand Water Tower. and
Okay.
Where it was crazy, but I
Yeah.
never attended school there.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that. So the Grand Water Tower, are you talking about the water tower that's at like 44 in
yeah.
Grand, like the old
Yeah.
one, like right before South Grand?
Yeah, you
Okay.
got where I'm at is right at 70 and
Just
Grand.
south of Slough.
Yeah, right. Well, no, I'm
No,
on
so
the
this
other
is further
side.
north.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
further
no, I'm
north.
north. Yeah,
Okay,
north.
okay.
Right at I-70 and Grand.
So this is the other water tower.
Yeah, it's a concrete.
I know what
we
you're
always
talking about
right
now.
in the middle there
I know
before
what
you
you're
get on
talking
the
about.
highway. Yeah.
So tell me about that. What's that like growing up? Like, so you don't have to say how old you are, but like roughly, was this like the 80s?
Oh yeah, it was. I'm 79, man. I'm actually a 70s baby.
Okay.
Looking
I'm
young,
82.
but yeah,
I knew you were
I'm
probably
40,
like a little bit older than
44,
me. I
yeah.
always assumed that like a year or two, so 3 years
sure.
older than me. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was, man. That scene is something that I give to people often, even going forward. I'm sure we'll talk about, but even dealing with the governor and stuff. I lived in that neighborhood, kind of always related to like a scene on Boys in the Hood when they found the dead body or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I got to jump on the bus, or either mom them if we missed the bus. I was part of the DSEG program. I was kindergarten in '84.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we were the beginning of the kids. I went out to Chesterfield with the Cardinals players, kids, and things. So I got to experience. People wonder why I can.
So was that like the busing program?
Well, it was a
type thing?
DSEG program
DSEG,
just for we were being integrated into a school.
Isn't
We
that
didn't
fucking
live
crazy,
in that
though?
community.
In the 80s, this is
Yeah.
happening in St. Louis still.
Yeah,
I remember they were getting sued over that shit.
yeah.
I heard something about that recently, actually. Someone was
And
talking
so
about
I was kind of like a part of that project. At least I felt like that anyway.
Sure.
But yeah,
Well, no, I mean, if you're growing up in North City, North County, and you're getting bussed out to Chesterfield, that's a whole different fucking world.
Oh man! But now, and going through life, I was able to use it as an advantage. But back then, it didn't feel like that racism, all type of craziness.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, I'm sure that that's two different sides of the coin completely, two different sides of the spectrum. I mean, disparagingly different.
You betcha.
Yeah.
But those were some times, man. It was real crime. It was the '80s, the height of drugs. St. Louis was turning up in that area. Mom was always fighting to try to get us away from that environment, starting with, the DSEG program, having me bust out to suburban school.
Man, that's awesome that you had a mom that was like cognizant and aware enough to be like, if I can do this, because it's like, they have like lotteries and stuff now, it's kind of like, I mean, and it's good in a lot of ways, but it's like, it's tough on kids who grow up in a certain environment. And a lot of times some of those kids go home to like fucking crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? And then they go to a school environment that's just like completely unrelatable
and try to play normal
to them. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you can't focus on trying to like learn and develop when like that, you know what I'm saying? You've, again, like the contrast, you got to go back to that later. You know what I'm saying? So the contrast, like all kids react differently to that kind of stuff. I'm a faculty kid. My dad was an elementary school music teacher at my elementary school
for sure.
And so and kids used to come to my house after school that didn't have like a place to go after school. You know what I'm saying? At least until somebody could come and get them. So like I used to see a lot of that like growing up a lot, you know what I'm saying? And just even like kids coming over to my house to play, which wasn't like, we didn't live in like the nice neighborhood at all, you know what I'm saying?
For
But
sure,
like,
but a little more
it
structured.
was so much different than what was going on at their house, And you talk about the 80s and stuff, man. I remember my very best friend growing up, and he lives in Portland now. He moved out west. His family moved out west. He moved to New Mexico when I was 6 and he was 5. But he grew up at 105 West Sexton.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, right off of the Sexton and Garth block. And I used to go to his house a lot. His parents babysat me all the time. and vice versa. He was always, my mom watched us, and I mean, we were inseparable. Like we ran away from home together. We did all the shit together, you know. But his house, again, when I'm 5, it's 87, and Sexton and Garth was crazy.
Well, go forward. You know that we have not sat down and had this meeting, but
yeah.
I'm 88, baby.
Yeah.
Sexton, right there at the curve there.
Yeah.
We live next to then it was a church. Now, my guy, the Freeland twins' dad owns it.
Right after the industrial part where Lindsay Reynolds and...
No, not that far.
Not that far.
Right in the middle. I'm right across from Fontaine.
Okay,
right across from Truline.
Yeah.
We had that big yellow house. And I guess 88, a guy named Cloudy lived on the corner. He owned part of the La Mirage with Lloyd that owns Big Daddy's, my uncle.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I'm 88 from St. Louis.
And I guarantee
we had that blemish from 88 to 89.
I was probably in my buddy's front yard, and you probably like came.
We were running the neighborhood.
His house was wild. His parents were like very hippie. Like his mom always had like a bandana on her head and was very like with like the dresses and I mean. Kids came in and out of that house. They had the Disney Channel too, which was fucking crazy. They had completely basic cable, so like no other channels, but they had Disney. So every kid in that neighborhood would just like come in, sit down, and that was cool. Right. You know, like you need something to drink.
Cooperate.
You know what I'm saying? It was like the kiddie lounge for the neighborhood, which probably was like a good thing. Man, I remember seeing some wild shit when I was a little kid. Like just outside, and even like where I grew up, we moved to Maplewood Drive over by Russell Boulevard Elementary School when I was like 2, and our house was across the street from Kiwanis Park, and people used to sell drugs in Kiwanis Park all the time, and there was always like super people were in there fucking smoking crack and coming out of the park like. Like looking, people just walk out of the park looking like zombies coming out of the corn. You know what I'm saying? Like,
those were
what's
those
going
times.
on? They was like, come up and start talking to me. My mom would come outside and get me and be like, don't talk to these people, like whatever. And it's funny, actually, the guy that I was talking about that lived at Garth, it was the first time that he came back to visit me after he had moved to New Mexico. And we were in that park playing. And we were in the corner of the park that was like closer to the school than to my house. So like kind of like on the other side of the park. And Kiwanis Park isn't big. I think it's like a square mile. It's not big. But we're like kind of like off the trails, in the leaves. And I step on something I could like feel my shoe roll off of. And I look down and it's like a shotgun, like a set of shells. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I rolled it out of the package and there was like a little package of them down there. So like brushing it away, kept brushing it away. And in the stump, big brick of dope.
Wow.
So I was like, that's drugs. You know what I'm saying? So we like go like running out of the neighborhood. I'm like, what do we do? And I was like, when like told my parents about it and they knew some cop that like lived up the street or something. I wasn't allowed to go in the park for like a fucking year though.
Wow.
And I definitely fucked up somebody's serve bad. Because like they taped the park off. They came and took everything. And I don't know. I hope I didn't get anybody some time over that shit. But when you're like a fucking 8-year-old kid and you're like playing in the park and you find shotgun shells and a brick of dope, it's like, I'm not supposed to touch any of this shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
right? Like that's
movies.
not what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. So yeah, man, back in the day, it was wild, man. I think no matter where you kind of lived, Missouri's always been like a hub, and it's like we always see like in the movies, like New Jack City, it's very like East Coast based, Boys in the Hood, very West Coast based. A lot of those same things are happening in the Midwest. I mean, we're a huge crossroads for everywhere.
That was a thing I realized too with traveling, just knowing, coming from, you would say St. Louis, but Midwest period. You can go anywhere and adapt. We have it all right in us, and that's my life in a nutshell, not knowing how crazy it really was till you able to look back like, dang,
Yeah.
So yeah, you figure it out.
Yeah. And perspective is everything, man. I remember when I first moved to St. Louis, I moved there for a year after I graduated from college in 06. I got a job at like the marketing company. It was actually like a pyramid scheme, dude. I got recruited on Monster, and anybody with a college degree, they just wanted them to come in, and they told you that you're going to manage a marketing office for them, and then they stuck you out in like Southern Illinois selling paper clips, business to business, like in the middle of winter. They're like, this is your training. I'm like, this is bullshit. And I mean, like their definition of you managing a marketing office for them was they garnished like 80% of your earnings, and this is a commission-based job, mind you.
Right.
So every time I sell a paperclip, I'm getting 1/5 of that bitch. You know.
Right. How long that lasts for you?
Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I moved my whole life to St. Louis for this fucking job.
Wow.
Not to mention, like, I found like the best housing for me, like way down in South County. This job's in Maryland Heights.
Wow.
So the first day I go to work, I'm going up 270. I'm dumb. I did not plot this out at all. I leave at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get there until almost 9 o'clock. I was like 10 miles south, and I had to go on the worst possible part of the St. Louis traffic route, you know, to get to work every day. So I was literally leaving for work at like 4:30 in the morning, going up to this place, then driving out to fucking bumfuck nowhere. And again, like I was like, I thought we were doing like marketing management. What the fuck is this? And all of these kids were drinking the Kool-Aid. They're like, I'm gonna name my company this and that. And I'm sitting there like, if I need 10 grand to open up a marketing office, because that's like the goal you had to hit. They had to garnish 10K from you, and then they used that to open up an office. So I mean, like literally, they're using your sales money to like expand. It was a literal pyramid, and they couldn't see. And once you opened the office, you kicked up to whoever brought you in,
right?
And they're kicking up to something. It was like mafia scheme. It was, and I was just like, damn, this isn't a job,
right?
You know, like if I wanted to save up $10,000 and open up my own fucking office, I could do it on my terms and not give you guys anything. Plus, this isn't marketing. You guys have me selling. Like I'm doing door-to-door sales. It's a fucking sales job. Like this sucks. Like, you know.
I was gonna ask that was crazy when we were. You know, you say you moved to St. Louis a few years. I was like, man, what would make you do that? You know, that it's kind of like the oxymoron to my story. Because now I'm living the whole COMO save me type. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with this.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't imagine being back home, especially with what it is. You know now.
Man, I thought, you know, I'm done with school. I need to go, and I kicked that horse for like a while, where it's like I got to get like a real job. I went to college. I need to get a real job, you know. And I had gotten into music production real heavily at that point. The whole year that I lived in St. Louis after I quit that job, I just sat in my apartment in Oakville and fucking made beats.
Wow.
And then went out and tried to find rappers. That's like what I was doing that whole year. And then I got lured back here to manage a wine bar. It was like another big boy job or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But when I moved back here, I bought my first house, which became the first studio, which eventually evolved into this. But you know, it all kind of snowballed from, you know, I'm doing what I think I'm supposed to do, but you know, I'm managing this wine bar and I'm running the studio in my house. I'm making people wait 2 weeks to come rap in my studio because I'm working every fucking night. I'm making twice as much money in my house as I am running this other guy's business. You know what I'm saying? It started, I was literally losing money to go to work.
For sure.
And I was like, this doesn't fucking make sense anymore.
The stories we were telling.
Yeah. So like, and that's when I really went full time with it and just decided, you know, if I lose the house, I lose the house. You know what I'm saying? But like, if it's like this, I got to at least try, you know? And it was so funny too, because like, it's what I wanted, but like we live in this world where like, and I know that you relate to this, man, because you've been out there, you've done shit for money. You know what I'm saying? That other people aren't willing to go do. You know what I'm saying? Like you see a path to it. You know what I'm saying? And like you've you've utilized that in a lot of different routes too.
For sure.
You know, we're so good though at like denying ourselves sometimes, and people love to live vicariously through the idea that like they are that or they can be that. You know what I'm saying? I deal with it in my business all the time.
Yeah.
You see all these guys on Facebook, you know what I'm saying? They're living vicariously through whoever they are as like a rapper, but they're not waking up every day and living as like an artist. You know what I'm saying? They're not making moves accordingly based on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's funner for them to think about it and imagine.
And that works. I got that.
Without having to do all the work.
I got that almost like level 5 serious inside. In the joint, and one of my guys, he was a guy out of Chicago. You know, they structure a little different, you know, but he was jammed in Missouri, but he was still GD, you know.
Right.
And he pulled me to the side one day, you know, because one of the hardest parts of my last prison bit was because I kind of made myself somebody in the street, you know, but I didn't get a federal bit for all that dope. I was in the state.
Right.
So, you know, you'd have guys who had all stories. You know, Meechi was the man. Oh, I used to do that, and I'm that person now. I've kind of learned my avoidance, but this was a lesson. I'm a truth teller. You know, no, you didn't. I didn't say, hey, man. And then I didn't want to talk about that. I was fighting for my life, you know.
Sure, absolutely.
But nevertheless, he pulled me to the side and he said, hey, Meech, man, I know you know OG, man. You're OG. But he said, hey, man, sometimes you got to let them have their stage. And I thought about that for a few days.
Yeah.
And then I was like, damn, you do. Whatever you categorize them as, you got to let them have their stage.
Well,
so I agree with you.
And
like,
whether or not you decide that
blowing.
you're going to play a part on that stage
is a whole
completely
nother.
up to you still. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, sometimes like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was one of them hard lessons.
Man, tell me about what, you know, tell me about going and doing the time. Tell me about like how that happened though, because I well, first off, I guess I will chime in with how I first remembered knowing you, not necessarily meeting you, because I still feel like we haven't really ever been formally introduced. We know who each other are, but I used to see you at Sound Performance all the time. And I was a Sound Performance junkie from the day that they opened up shop in Columbia. I mean, still, if I didn't have kids, I would probably be giving Mark way too much of my fucking money.
Yeah.
I still have an 03 Aviator that's set up as like a promo vehicle for the studio that's got two W712s in it that I've had over like 4 vehicles now.
Right.
But I think at this time, this was the car that I moved to St. Louis with. I had it from like, 04 until a little bit after I moved back, but it was a 96 green Acura RL. It wasn't forest green, you know what I'm saying? But it was kind of like that lighterish green. And I remember specifically at the time, I think it was your girl at the time had a navy blue
with the gold package.
Yes, it was a little bit newer than mine because it had the facelifted taillights and the front end and stuff. But that was the first car I had with the W7 setup, and I had some 20-inch Razzies on that car. It looked awesome. But I remember taking it up through there, and I had 2 cars before that. It was a 95 Eldorado that was like fish scale white, you know, like that Cadillac had that like real pearlescent metallic white, and a 92 Acura Vigor that was all black. It was a 5-speed inline 5-cylinder, and I was, you know, I came off of Nissan Altima before that I bought from Seth Brown. Do you know Seth Brown?
Yeah.
So Seth Brown sold me my first car that I owned myself.
For sure. I
went to the bank when I was 17 years old, and my parents co-signed me. I got a loan for this car. I was working at Gerbs.
You started early.
Dude, I literally couldn't go on my senior spring vacation because I had to work a full 40 that week to put tires on my fucking when I got the car, it had Neeper synchros, these 18-inch chrome Neepers, and I traded my classmate Ben McVeigh. I traded him for a set of Lexani Amethysts that were 17s, but they were big chrome. They looked fucking awesome. That's what it was. I had gotten the Amethyst and I needed new tires.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to Mexico. I'm not doing that. Like I have to ride. You guys, you know. Right. I was so into car stereos and I was so into cars, and like I grew up in a household where it was like no. I didn't get like my first pair of Nike basketball shoes I was in like 8th grade. I finally found some like Crown shoes, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, please. And she was like, okay. But every time I'd be like, Mom, Jordans, Mom. No,
That's
just
me.
no a lot. So like once I finally got some financial independence and I was like able to like work an actual job that wasn't throwing newspapers, like I was like, fuck school.
Yeah.
I cared about school.
It'll make you like that, man.
All of that stuff. But like, man, as soon as if I could work, I wanted to work as much as I could, man. But I used to see you up at Sound Performance and you had that Magnum.
Yeah.
Did you have any other cars that you did with Mark at that time?
Yeah, I had that white Chevy we did. It was like Cadillac pearl white with a
what
Navy,
kind of Chevy?
89 box Chevy.
Box,
with the
Caprice?
Blue lights we started putting them. Yeah, Caprice, with the Giovanni's. And he did the stereo. I put an Epic in that thing.
Do you know Lil Ed?
Yeah, I just was talking to him
really?
when I bought the
I haven't
Benz.
seen Ed in forever. Whenever
He's at BMW.
That dude used to, every time he'd come to Sound Performance with a box Chevy, it would have a new airbrush on it.
He still has his
He'd
Chevy.
flip up the airbrush on the fucking hood or the fucking trunk, like everywhere.
Or a new TV.
Damn, dude, this
so it was a new paint or new TVs.
Yeah. My brother-in-law, who's been one of my best friends since I was 15 years old, his name's Danny White, and he worked at Sound Performance for a while. He worked in the front end. He did sales. He had glasses, big sideburns.
Right.
You'd probably recognize me, saw a picture of him, but I mean, yeah, dude, we used to like he would get off work and I'd be like, anything crazy happened in the shop today, you know? Because people come up to Sound Performance and do some outrageous shit sometimes,
crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
Wild stuff, dude. You'd be like, oh yeah, you know, fucking Ed rolled up today and like I can't remember. I think he had gotten like stuck up in Kansas City or something, and they like took the wheels off his car like right there on the spot or something. It was something crazy. He's like, Ed rolled up today and like half the car was gone. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, man. You know, it's just your crazy stories like that.
Yeah.
I used to see you up at the stereo shop a lot, and then I used to dabble a lot. I had a lot of friends that were doing different stuff in the game all the time. If you grow up in Columbia, when I was born, 50,000 people maybe, you know, you knew a lot of people, you knew everybody. Eric McCauley, really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just talked to him a couple of days ago. That's somebody, you know, did all that Fed time, dude. Like basically just
Massive.
over weed, you know, and
now
institutionalization, man, just like really rocked him, dude. He could not come out and just like reacclimate, you know, and he went back in on violation. I don't know if you know that.
I think I heard that.
Yeah. He got in a car accident, like a DUI situation, and he really tore himself up about it for like a while. I mean, and you know, like rightfully so, dude. He sat for so long, you know, just over something we can go to the store and just buy as much as we want.
Nowadays.
Now it's so, you know, I can't imagine like just like chewing that pill every day, you know, like fuck, why am I actually here?
Well, but you gotta have no matter, and that's some further along probably, but you gotta have that self-growth, man, no matter what the hell we go through. And that's, I mean, people could say lucky or whatever, but that's something that works for me, is that accountability, man. And we talk about my life, but man, you gotta man up at some point or it just ain't gonna work. I don't know anything different. But
what I was segueing all of that stuff into, I really wanted to talk about Sound Performance and stuff, just because like that's the origin of how I remember meeting you and stuff. But so around that time, I know you caught that case, and I remember you hear stuff like in the streets about like, oh, you know, Meechi this, da 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 da. what I always heard, and this is funny because I always want to like ask you this: how much of this is factual?
Right.
Was it Lafayette County? Were you on the highway?
Yeah, man.
If you're cool talking about it.
Oh yeah,
and I figure so. You know what I'm saying? Like
sure.
I always wanted to know like what exactly happened, and then again, like tell me about going in and like how that changed you.
Man, it was like you said, man. I'm straight from St. Louis, from poverty, man. So come '96, I'm coming off a 120 shock out of St. Louis. I'm gang banging by then, cripping. So I ended up shooting, and luckily got a 120 shock, went to Boonville. Well, my mom and my baby's mom, back then
What year is this?
This is 96 coming out of Boonville.
So like 96 to like 99?
Well, I get out at...
How old are you in 96? You're like 19?
17.
17. So early then.
Yeah.
Like as early as possible you went to state.
Yeah. I went to
There's a
juvie, got
Thunderdome
certified.
too. I mean, I remember like Boonville, the late 90s, like wasn't
No, it was a
the
different
softest
world.
spot to land.
Yeah, I was just over there serving food in the food trailer, and I was laughing.
I saw that.
Looking at the guards, I'm like, you could work here? It's changed.
Yeah.
I said,
yeah.
Man, and we were there, no ambulances came, or, you know, it was crazy back then. I went through that, you know, those times.
Yeah.
That was some side, you know, so that stuff that was just my life, seeing that stuff. And not realizing that I wasn't just seeing it, I was a part of it. Right. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I was a part of my environment.
Yes.
So, man, my son's mom and my mom packed up when I was doing the 120. They like, hell no, he's getting out of the loo. He'll die. And they told me when I called home and gave me a 573 number, I'm like, what the hell? No, I got 314 on my arm.
Right.
And they say, you're not coming back to St. Louis. You'll die or be in there for your life. So then I hung up the phone. And I'm like, hey, Dirty, what did you say about COMO? Right. I didn't remember. You know, I lived here in 88 to 89, and that was bleak, you know. But now I'm kind of like a man. I need to know the streets.
Right.
Street dude. And so
well, you're in there.
Yeah.
So that's only evolving that state of mind.
You bet.
At all the time. You know, the Department of Connections. You're meeting
and
people.
Now I'm going to a new
that.
environment.
Yes.
And it was guys that had looked up to us city guys.
Right. Absolutely.
And now it was like, hey, man, what was your name? Who was your sister? You know, I'm going to your neighborhood, you know. So I come to COMO kind of connected from prison, pretty much, you know, and then it wasn't hard. So that was it. 96 was me and COMO and getting accepted. And I always say it in the articles, man, I get to COMO and it's like, damn, I could hustle and make money without shooting people.
Right.
I ain't got to put cripping first. You know what I mean? And that was cool.
Well, in
for
Columbia,
me.
it was a completely different place at that time.
At
for
that
sure.
time,
if you moved around here at that time, everybody liked to be pretty quiet.
And mind they and get money.
It's a college town, you know. They're out here spotting people on DUIs.
Yeah.
If you're not out here moving around like stupid, it wasn't too hard to survive out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my inception, of course, and me thinking it was sweet. I caught a dope case, and what was it? I think 98. I went in on a 7. I come to Columbia on that old probation rap from the 120. I had 7, and I caught a 7 for a dope case here. So I went away, and I went in there, and I was tipped in to Boonville, to Cameron from hustling. They were rolling me, transferring me.
Right.
Because I had the bug then, man. I thought hustling was, you know, I'm from poverty.
Dude,
and I thought it was built for me.
People don't realize, too, how addictive, not just the lifestyle is, but how... not even like invigorating is the word that I'm looking for, but empowering. Mm-hmm. You know, like and especially like again, like, you know, you're told no, like you're not gonna have that, like, you know, fuck that, you know, I am gonna have that, you know, and like whatever I got to do that, I'm gonna do that, you know. And
it still creeps up here and there, but that's a reality, man, and that takes us, even like you said, the inception of me and you as sound performance. That was a part of, and now I laugh because, you know, I'm on Business Loop and Range Line.
Yeah.
That's a hot intersection of our town, and I hear the boom, 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 and I see the big wheels and everything, and I'm just like, damn, they used to be me. Mm-hmm. And now I'm able to reality-stricken talk to people and be like, no, I'm not going in the club to spend my money. I'm like, bro, I'm so in tune with my insecurities. You know, back then, that's what I was doing. I bought the Magnum. I was the first dude with Mopar when they come out with the
I
with the
had
Hemi.
never seen that car in my life before.
And I had it in
saw
the garage.
You brought that car up to Sound Performance, and I asked Danny, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
And he said, "It's that." You know, it's like they're doing these new Chargers, but it's the station wagon.
Yeah.
They're coming out with it first. And the Magnum, I had never, and I was I was on top of shit. When cars were coming out, I knew about it. You know what I'm saying? I love car culture, you know, but I had never even seen or heard of that thing. And I fucking love station wagons, man. I love them. Like me and Danny and. Dude, I
had to kind of convince myself.
Did you ever know this dude Iggy back in the day? He was like a skinny white dude, and he had a white Honda Accord wagon.
That sounds so familiar.
It had 2 square kicker 15s in the back, and he was a wild kid, dude. He used to fucking, he used to run to Kansas City, dude, get like 20 pounds of weed, and he'd drive back like 120 miles an hour.
Really?
He was wild, bro. And he went and did a long bid. He was in Licking for a long time, man, because he was actually coming to a house party at my place in 2002. And this is when they had just like built Grindstone Parkway.
Really?
It wasn't even really open yet. It was open, but they didn't have lights up or any of that stuff. And he was coming up there. He was wasted and ran over somebody on their bike. And they got like trapped under his car. Then he got out and ran and left the dude.
Really?
Yeah. And he did,
They make that like
a long time.
Your car turned right to a weapon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bad deal.
That's what I was looking at my phone rudely, but I had to look up. I'm kind of brain with us talking about past, and you know that shit'll send you. But I was thinking those days. Do you remember a tenor at Sound, Andrew Bailey? You remember?
He's the general.
He's our AG, bro.
Yeah.
So crazy story. We want to, and you say you didn't mean for Sound. I'm just sitting back with this in my holster, right?
Dude, every time I see Bailey on TV, I'm like, fuck. I remember this guy cracking jokes back in the installer bay.
I'll give you this story. I'm sitting out and hustled, out and bustled. I got Philip Dooley, great friend of mine now, was my landlord then when I got the clemency. Living in a 1-bedroom over on Stone, sacrificing Stone Street.
Yeah.
By the hellhole. But then Cherie Relsh, Northern Boone County State Rep, these are my 2 like people.
Yeah.
So they went with me and my son to get the clemency. Capitol's closed. Nobody's here but us and 5, 6 of the governor's top staff, about 3 security in the basement. We walked in. So we're standing there getting ready for the governor. He walks out, putting his vest on. Here I come, guys. So Andrew Bailey walks out, and you know me, dude. This is surreal.
Yeah.
You dig? So I ain't never really, went into the like.
The combination of those 2 circumstances colliding in that moment.
Do you know?
That's insane.
Do you? And I've never told this story on any interview.
Insane, man.
Anything. So I got my Phil and Cherie, who's rolled for me.
Yeah.
They seen my truth. They stood behind me. And, Phil, he's affiliated with the Highway Patrol, retired somehow.
Right.
Is where it left, so respectful. These are law enforcement, retired, but these are my friends. So we're sitting here waiting on the governor. And he's like, yeah, so Demetrius, what did you do? We heard you kind of got busy, but how did this start? Where did I said, well, back in the day when I lived 2 lives, I was trying to get out. I had a window tinting shop in Columbia called Tent Crafters. And we had a bro moment. He just looked at me and he said, like, he might have said fucking, but he was like, no way.
Yeah.
Out of the blue. He said, Meechi?
Yeah.
Because, and I'm just sitting here, and this was crazy. A player card on me as a kid. Mm-hmm. I was over there spending thousands with Mark, just being a good who the public acknowledged, who the governor acknowledged. Now, I get the accolades. But back then, Mark didn't like me. Not really. I was the first. Who was this little kid? I'm a little dope dealer, little kid. I was early 20s.
Right.
But, dude, I wanted better. So I'm trying to open up and I franchise tent crafters out of St. Louis. And I bring tenting in Mark's old building on Rogers. That was Sound Performance Satellite. Lightly, and it didn't work, and I slipped in.
And it was originally Pro Street.
Originally, yep, you betcha. And then Mark kind of went in for a second, and I got it when it didn't seem to work. And then I come with this tent thing, and I didn't know what the hell but luckily, it was I learned a lot then, but it made me as automatic, like, business, and we probably laugh about it today, but that aha moment where Andrew, and he said, you were our competition, and I'm like, me, and it was just like, we start smiling, and it made it ease for me, dude. I'm up there nervous as hell.
You gave them so much money, bud.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So I turn around and I brought 10 grand in the Magnum.
Exactly, yeah. It's about as friendly as competition you can get.
But he didn't like that tent shop.
For a stereo system.
Yeah. But that was a story, so now Andrew, and from that, he's our AG now,
It's so crazy. Every time I see him on TV, and Danny was the first person who's like, do you know who this is? And I had to look at his phone for a second. And I was like, did this guy used to work at Sound Performance?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, it's Bailey. Do you know what he's doing now? And I was like, wait, what did that caption say? I said, Bailey's the fucking Attorney General of the state of Missouri?
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like, I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Just because
that's how life will turn on you, boy. It evolves.
The guys that were, it was like Mikey, Tracy.
Yep, I remember Tracy.
These are the guys that were in the back of the shop. These are not, you know what I'm saying? I was like, wait a second, this guy went to law school? He's a lawyer? Yeah. He's the Attorney fucking General?
Yeah.
I had so many questions. I still have so many questions. I need to get him on the podcast.
Right. Wouldn't that be awesome?
And just to talk about how that transition happened, because that's so wild. Yeah, every time I see him.
That's my thing, man, and that's how I got brought here. My family just being scared for me, and then me seeing it, because of course I could have booked up and went back in the hood, but I seen the advantage of Columbia way back then. I was like, wow, man, and going through trial, and of course going back in, like you said when you heard about that, I come back out. I do 4.5 years on that 7-year sentence.
Yeah.
And that was straight criminal school for me. You know what I mean? And I'm still a hungry dude. Now I got 3 kids, you know what I mean? So it's like shit's real.
Right.
So I come back out, and back then, like I told you, I believe that shit, it was built for me. I wasn't no college, nothing like that.
You felt like it was your calling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You betcha. And you get some people that say to a cent, but it don't even matter. You could put rat poison in front of me in the grocery store. I ain't finna eat it. Right. But in a sense, you get people, it was kind of put and available by others and us,
Sure.
Music guys, some of our music ain't the best. It don't tell the other side all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just real shit. You got to learn that.
Absolutely.
And I'm one of the people that luckily living through it, we able to rap about it. But back then, dude, I was gone. So I do the 4.5 years. I come back out to COMO, and by then we had a pretty good federal sweep. Everybody that was big, Chris, Little Man, everybody was gone. So I got out. I'm like, shit, the town, it's a void. I could really, make something happen. And learned about Kansas City and the Kansas pipeline, and it was over with, man. And I took advantage of it. And so going fast forward into your question of the stories and stuff, that was crazy then, dude. I made it. I got a couple. I had not only tent crafters, I had Motivated Fashions.
Right.
I got a new crib in Vanderveen that I was living there doing a lease to purchase. I'm about to buy my first crib. And my buddy calls me up, he's my best friend, one of them nowadays, calls me up, and he wants to make one last rip to Kansas City. Of course, it's my plug. And I'm like, damn, I don't want to go, but then I'm like, dang, it's my guy. But of course, something I learned in the few nowadays, I had to admit, greed kicked in because it's my plug. I'm gonna charge a little bit. My guy's screaming, wanting some work, and I'm like, no, I'm done. So I'm like, one last run won't. So greed activated it too with loyalty and all that, and we got on the highway. And I mean, on our way, I'll never forget the short, long story. Leaving out of COMO, we got down there $250,000 cash, and he's St. Louis. Trapping. I'm COMO. So I got probably, my
you
little...
guys are going west to KC to get it.
Yeah, and my little money ain't nothing, but my bro got shoe boxes full of 5s, 1s to make, 100 and something grand. St. Louis money a lot. We passing stadium going west to Kansas City. Highway patrol jumps right behind us. We just know this money, we got a federal case.
Right.
He passes us up and shoots on to Boonville, wherever. That super optimism, we should have turned. That was our Gordon Angel, right? In hindsight, if you could do that, you know what I mean. But by God's grace, it turned out how it is now. But we keep on going. We get up there, we correlate, and we're on the way back. And of course, I got to get high, smoke some good perp back then. What the best that was, and I wrap it up in a bag so the car ain't smelling like weed. The little rules. And,
absolutely.
But I broke the number one rule, which was being in the car. But I ain't realizing this. I'm gonna get a little high. I can't trust nobody.
And sometimes like it's happening now. I got to just do it. And I can't bring in so and so.
It's that insanity though. But you know it.
And it's at the end of the day, it is like that greed factor. Like, it only takes one wrong move to just fuck everything up in that world. And it's so easy after you've done it and done it and done it, and it's clockwork to just be like, we're good.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it again anyway, so whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And float on that cloud.
Yeah.
And man, I got to see real quick how that cloud can disintegrate, turn into rain, man. It was, we riding back, going through, like you said, it was Lafayette. Yeah. Going through Higginsville, right there with that pilot truck stop. So we passed that up, and right after you pass that,
they're in Odessa, isn't it?
It's it's the same troop. It's the same troop. It's the same troop as
MU football players. Like every 5 years, one of them would get popped coming back, and it'd always be Odessa.
And then I went to study, of course, after getting involved and coming through their county and disrespecting it. I learn about them. They with that shit.
Yeah,
they sitting there on the highway looking in the car. They know who got the dope 9 times out.
They that little strip just west of like Independence.
Yeah.
And they know that you feel safe once you get in those outskirts.
Yeah.
And you're right there in that open part. And you start feeling comfy, and like they're right there
waiting.
Yeah,
and even ours was even more coarse because what the truth was, I know everybody was saying I got snitched on this. Nah, I can't go with that rap. They simply put up. Nowadays, I know I knew then, but of course, like I was saying, I was high, I'm laid back, and the exact conversation me and my brother Ray, my co-defendant, we talking about, man, just enjoying life. This the last run. We set. We're gonna open up a clothing store on Lindbergh in North County. We're gonna open a Motivated Fashions, and he's like, damn, dog, should I get off the... I'm like, what? He's like, these signs. I don't even want to open my eyes. I'm so, high on push. And I'm like, go on, get off, man. It ain't nothing. So when he hits that ramp at Allville, which is right after that Higginsville exit, and they set this shit up, when he hits the ramp, I come to and go ahead. When you feel that stomach from the ramp going 70, you're going to open your eyes.
Yeah.
I look down, I see the flares and shit on 70 right under the exit. I knew then, fuck, we shouldn't have got off. But I'd already, and I really guided them, go ahead and get off. I knew what a route. I knew you keep going on those things.
Right, yep.
And from then, man, we went on a high speed back to the other exit, and it
so
was,
as soon as you get off the highway, would they get behind you, like
oh, yeah,
on the off ramp, or like when you guys get to the top?
Well, what happened with us was they were, and now I had the full report and everything. They were coming from popping another car, and one got loose. Like, we got other people gonna hit the exit. We got to get loose, so they'll jump on you real quick, and they getting back out on this goose hunt for the couple hours they there. So what we do is we come up on that ramp and we're making a left, right, to go back over 70.
Right.
And when we're coming back over 70, HP, Highway Patrol, is coming from east, which is going west. He's coming from St. Louis direction. He gets back up, so he has to cross us.
Right.
We cross each other. Him and my co-defendant mug each other. And I mean, a nerd, we got 20 pounds of coke in the trunk. So, and now we play the movie back. The officer was not lying about, I mean, my co-defendant, I'm looking at it all played from the passenger seat.
Right.
And I'm like, this shit's finna get real. It was a movie, dude. They eyed each other going over the bridge. And we hit the ramp and hit 100. And my co-defendant, in his mind, we're getting away. And I'm like, dude, what are we gonna do with all this dope anyway?
Are you in the Magnum?
No, we're in a rental. We're in
what kind of car is it?
A Buick LaCrosse, I think. Yeah,
so
like
not something that's gonna like go do a high.
Nah, it's a V6 rental from budget down in crazy. They had them testify at my trial. But yeah, it was crazy. So, and that's what I ended up telling them. Just like a movie, not a movie. This was my life, but like a movie. We're on a high speed and we get two 18-wheelers that we're probably working with Highway Patrol.
Sure. Absolutely.
They blocked us in.
Yeah.
So my brother was finna go on the shoulder, and all I seen was that field. You know, it's only fields to Kansas City.
Yeah,
and I was like, man, in this little V6,
yeah,
we're done. I said, no. So we get back, and by this time the officer's gaining route because he got it. My brother got a jump on him.
Yeah.
But he's gained route, and by then nothing. We can't do anything, and we pull into the truck stop, and they turn it into a drug investigation. If you get off on that exit, and that was the long story short. Now I went and researched. Of course, I researched enough to get myself out the joint, but I researched enough that this thing, when you get off, they're gonna say whether you ran over the line in the road.
Yes.
You did. Our reason was not a blinker.
Stop line.
You stopped past the stop line.
Yes.
Or you were following a little too close to the car exiting before. So it's just a surreptitious thing they do. But yeah, man, that was it. They pulled and they got us, separated us, and then asked me, because the rental car was in my name even though I wasn't driving. And I denied any searching, and they called the dogs, and from then it was downhill, man. It was
they're gonna 20 pounds of coke.
Yeah.
Fuck, bro.
So that was and it was truthful. You know, I went, and of course I went up, and I went to trial. So
you didn't get charged federally for that.
No.
That's lucky in a way, I guess. Like, would the state just wanted the glory, you think?
Well, what happened, now I know the story, I know the law and everything. What happened was, and it kind of blew my mind, it made me over-optimistic back then, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
because I wasn't no gangster trained to take the state to trial or none of what.
Right. Facing
life without, right, you dig? So,
right.
But what happened was, man, we get in there, we're in the tank, Lafayette County, this is foreign, no windows in this place. As soon as we're there, we're wondering, why do we have state charge? You know, this is crazy. As soon as we get there, we're looking at the news, and two Mexicans get popped on the highway. We don't know if they didn't say it was a roost checkpoint.
Right.
But they come in the bay right behind, a few hours behind us, off of the TV. And next thing you know, 10 minutes later, the sheriffs come to the door, back with the billboard. Anybody speak English? They need a translator for the feds. So the guy comes back and said, the feds got. So we really drilled. Like, we had 20 pounds. They had a little bag there. It was probably like 2 pounds of meth they had. You know what I mean? It wasn't a lot. We had a whole table full of. So come to find out what it was, and to give you another imprint of the truth, man, what it was a Fourth Amendment violation. See, when I told them...
That's what I was curious about. They didn't get up to the feds because there was something fishy in the processing.
Oh, they definitely tried. You know, that's law with that much dough. But the feds is like, no, feds... And that's where I tried to go get it reversed. That's the only hope you had because the state kind of... They live under the law, but
Court, then,
at times they don't honor that T of the Constitution. And Fourth Amendment is pure... U.S. Constitution.
Fucking lie and
so I learned all about it
all the time.
Yeah, you betcha. So and
that stop past the stop line thing has gotten a lot of motherfuckers.
Yeah, and now, but imagine back then the smell of weed.
Yeah.
So now that's kind of disintegrated. So we get a little more.
That was another big one. That's probable cause immediately,
and we're in there.
Yeah.
So that was the gist. So man, we come to find out that we had Paige Bellamy, who he had legal aspirations. He was the prosecuting attorney, and now I believe he's a judge in Saline or something. But this was his thing, was the stair step.
Right,
for that much dope, he just couldn't see throwing out in Lafayette County. They were like, no way, we're throwing out 20 pounds of coke. We don't care who's coming to get it. And I'll tell you this, Tim, they were so gassed on this big case and just getting convictions. When my co-defendant, he took a plea bargain.
It's so crazy. Like in those little places too, how politics and people who are, I'm going to seek office, and like they're playing that chess game, but they're using people's lives as the game pieces. Like, it's wild. Like the rules are specifically defined, and like if you're out there, like a lot of this stuff, but again, I just bring back the stopping past the stop line. Like it's just an easy way for them to be like, well,
it was you.
And it's getting harder for them to do that because there's cameras on everything now too. But it's wild. Like, the DA someplace like goes to the police chief or the troop in that area, whoever's like running traffic, and is like, we need to like catch more drug dealers so that it's good for my election prospects.
That's
not why you put resources into going after drug dealers, though. You're like, we're going to use intelligence and try to like, it's not supposed to be motivated based on like when you're going to be up for election or what office you want to run for next.
So it even caused them. That prosecutor, my only guess, was so overzealous on the prosecution end, that they forgot when my co-defendant was released after 7.5 years. We're still best friends. He's like, bro, have your people call the highway patrol and get your money back. I got a check. They forgot to seize our money. So he had
like the money you had like left over?
No, in our pocket, being caught with drugs.
Oh, okay.
They did a seizure form. They forgot to fulfill the form.
Just like loose cash you had on your person.
Oh yeah, any drug that's American law. They confiscate
Oh, absolutely.
That.
They're taking all that.
And they forgot legally to complete the paperwork, and we got our money back. Got a check from the highway patrol.
Jesus Christ.
They had to return it to us. So it was just like a real big reality, man. So now being on the other side of it is crazy,
Yeah.
Being, and I never took it like that, and that's probably how I prevailed, man. And like I said, sitting here right now, I never took it like I was a victim or whatever, because I meant that shit.
Sure.
That I would,
absolutely.
So I always took it stand up, like, but now being on the other side and able to acknowledge, damn. But again, being accountable, I was choosing to be a part of somebody else's game.
Right.
And that's what I try to tell the kids now, man. Don't do it. Wisen up.
Well, and when you're out there, the thing about like selling drugs, it's very alluring, especially when you're young, because you gain acceptance. Even though it's false, it's still feels good. It's so reinforcing of the action in the first place because people like you more. You're the guy. You know what I'm saying? Even though like if you didn't have all that shit, and if like the feds come, they're not there. You know what I'm saying?
I learned it, bro. And that's Meechi
all of that stuff
nowadays, realizing.
But also, like, you're essentially, I mean, it depends on how resourceful you are, but you're always going to be a part of a pipeline. That's just like a part of a system. Even if you are very entrepreneurial and you lock down your whole area, you do whatever, you're still just a part of this like bigger. You're not really doing your own thing, you know, and it's stigmatizing in a way when you love the person you are and that person does something that they know they're not supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? That's a crazy feeling. It's very, like I was saying before, it's just like it's empowering. You know what I'm saying? It's a wild energy. And you know, it's also really cool, man, to see you come out on the back end of this and to go open up businesses at the same intersection where you had all of the shit before. Because you go in and do these bids, and I mean, if you're good up here, you know, you're able to like deal with the passing of time and the changes. A town like Columbia changes a ton, and like we were gone 7 years.
Oh no, I did 11.
11
the last
on the last one.
Yeah,
that's a long time,
man.
So like coming out,
humbled, bro, humbled. That I can only tell you
because you
humbled.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
You've got the auto spa, right? The detail shop on the corner.
Yeah.
And then what else is there now? Like in the umbrella?
Well, I added right after the auto spa. I knew that
was that the first thing that you opened coming out?
When I came home, I did the auto spa, and I
good for you for going right back to that spot, because every time that I drive by that place, like when I come into town or like whatever, I look over and I always think to myself, it's so dope that like X number of years later, and I mean, just getting out and like straightening it out in general. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to change, being able to sustain it, you know, but having that location again, I'm sure that meant something more to you than just like having a place to do the business.
Well, that's the crazy.
Is there something like sentimental there?
That's the crazy part. I'll tell you this, and this gets me like, with a lot of people, it's kind of oxymoronish. I said, man, open a shop. I looked at that corner, and to me, Business Loop and Rangeline, where I'm now, used to be Mark's Mobile Glass.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Right.
And that was bigger than me back then. Of course, now he just sold it. I seen to a big glass. So, yeah, big. Okay. But nevertheless, I looked at that corner, and I seen College and Rogers.
Right.
But no, man, that's the crazy. So I opened, you know, their Woods Auto Spa. I'm fresh out the joint. I scrape up my pennies. I'm like, man, they killed Nipsey. I'm finna open a shop. So I open. I'm gonna window tint and detail. Now I know a little bit about each about this time. I got Kenny over there to kind of give me a few pointers past what I seen before. And I say, man, I'm going at this. You know, I made money, but I was paying tenors before I went to prison. I'm selling dope on the side. And I said, what if I was doing the tent and owning the shop again?
Right.
And that's what I went at. I put a little candy up front, and it started catching on. But more than that, bro, and you know the story, is that's what saved my life, is the community seeing me build that corner up over there. And when I lost my case, and the appeals in the Supreme Court, we went all the way to the Supreme Court on my appeal that I wrote. I mean, by the grace of God.
Right.
Reading old books, I figured out how to write a declaratory judgment, and got that parole hearing.
That's amazing.
But started there, man, and that is what saved my life. Is opening that shop. A year later, I lose in the Missouri Supreme Court. I got 9 calendars to do. And I get a call from our buddy now. I was on that lot telling guys, man, I can't tint your car. I'm tired. I'm over. And back then I was just going at it. Because that was my mental health, bro. I know I'm going to prison. I got a governor who's a Republican. What we're told about Republican. And he's an ex-cop on top of that.
Exactly. From a small town.
From Joplin, Missouri.
Yes.
Yeah, as a sheriff. So I had my bags packed.
And he wasn't even fucking elected. He's the governor because the
Yeah,
guy
that was
who was
placed.
elected
Yeah.
governor turned out to be like a huge like violent sex offender and a huge fucking
You betcha.
creep. And then he got
Stepped
the
up.
office via him. Yeah.
So I didn't know what
I will say, man, he's done a good job. As somebody who I lean liberally.
For sure.
Parson has done well. My wife works in advocacy for like early childhood and stuff, and like making sure that like money gets where it's supposed to for early child care centers, daycares, and he's been very good about like, you know, making sure that the resources, at least for that, are there. So I applaud him. He's done well for, you know, again, Missouri is such a fucked up place.
Well, you know,
man.
and what I probably related to, man, just being real, not only did the dude save my life, but I tell you what, no pimping in that. So I didn't owe no tax, no nothing. That was straight my character. He trusted that. And but I tell you though, I think more or less we got a man. You know what I mean? Even though he was aligned with Republican parties over there, we got a man who already fulfilled his career as a cop. And he's just, because I trip off when we went through COVID, man. Our state didn't falter for real.
Yeah.
A lot of governors done bad stuff that hurt their states. They took bad money and all, you know.
Well,
so,
and politicizing it.
Yeah,
a public
for sure.
health crisis.
Yep.
You know, and being.
And here he is,
Yeah.
and again, being my greatest person in the height of COVID, choosing to free me.
Right.
And I mean, for me, I mean, that has us sitting here right now.
That is
People
incredible.
from our culture are like, damn, it's different. Look what Meechi got, you know?
Yes.
It's hope, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that brought me to Business Crazy, which we go, you know, now I lose count. But, you know, from when I got that clemency from Parsons, I opened up here. Like you said, Columbia has changed.
Yes.
And times have turned. You know, the Columbia we knew, 80s, 90s, whatever, you would never think a guy of my caliber would be running, maintaining, and operating a business in the center of downtown Columbia.
And growing more and doing more. You've got a food stand in the arena, man.
Crazy.
That's
and I was
crazy.
once told, yeah, you guys stay away from that campus, you know, and now I walk through there and I'm a boss, man.
Right. Yes, and you're getting that nacho money.
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it is. It's humbling.
It's so fantastic, man.
Yeah, humbling.
It's wild. You know, when I got the idea to do this podcast specifically, I have like a couple of ideas for different stuff that I want to do, but having conversations with not I didn't want it to be like an interview style thing at all. I really exactly what we've done, just sitting down. I've known of you, I guess, almost 2 decades probably.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, and I've never got to really like talk to you about like, and you hear all of these things, you know, and I really, there's a lot of people in Columbia that are townies that are, everybody knows certain people, you know, but not necessarily
the person,
like the full story. Yeah. Like the integral details. And I mean, you can read a print article about somebody and kind of like establish a point of view, but I wanted to like sit down and talk for a while, you know, just about the little things, you know what I'm saying? And I am one of the first people, I had to have been the first 3 people you popped into my head.
For sure.
And literally
that's humbling, man.
Right after I was like starting to compile that list together, I saw you at LVX.
Yeah.
When I was up there, just saying hi to BJ, and Chad was up there.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, fuck,
the boys,
this has to happen. That was the first moment where I was like, okay, I'm definitely fucking doing this podcast now. Like, no doubt at all. I think the next day I called the graphic designer and was like, I just sent you samples.
Let's get
put
it going.
Something together for
Hell
me.
Yeah.
I've got to do this.
Motivated.
Yeah, man. And you brought merch.
Mm-hmm.
What size do you wear? Because
I'm a large guy.
A large guy.
And that's what I was looking at you. I thought we were in relations, so I kind of danced around it a little bit. See if I fill you out. I got couple large or extra large hoodie too.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on how it fits. You know what I'm saying? But we'll make sure that. What's this one right here?
Oh, that's one of the funky. I didn't know if it'd be a female or something. That was one of the funky designs I came out with a couple years ago. Says that I'm blunt because God rolled me like that.
That's sick.
And that's just like what we stand for, man. It's just truth and peace.
That's amazing.
Leave me alone. Let me live my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool, man. Thank you so much. I've got hoodies and shirts in the back, and I'll go grab you some. This has been so cool, man.
Man, crazy. I know
really
one thing
it,
I will speak on, and ordinarily you couldn't like it unless you was like, let me get my deep voice on. Nah. But man, I think I'll bring this up. I don't know if we aired or not, but I like to be real, man.
Yeah.
One thing I was thinking about, one of my probably closest correlations with you.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably somebody, you wouldn't have fucked with this dude if you didn't like fuck with him. You know what I mean? And it touches me lately. You usually don't talk about Coop, you know what I mean? But I think you done a lot of music with him before. I kind of seen when he was doing this music shit.
Yes.
His other, you know, but that's my dude, man. And he got some, you know, dealing with the system and shit. So that was kind of on my heart when coming here, because that's even though we got Chad and them stuff like that, I was like, I paid it, and you didn't know that.
No, not
I was
at
like,
all.
how the fuck
no
is he
idea.
fucking with Coop? Cuz like,
I talked
he gotta be good because I fuck with Coop.
We talk
you know?
every week at least, probably almost every other day.
Wow. See that?
What's
real, bro?
I'm literally getting a tear in my eye, man.
See what's real, bro? And you know what the fuck's going on,
Yeah.
right? The numbers that been caught, whatever court be or whatever, but that shit fucking bothers me, you know? For the real.
A lot.
And bro real with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've had plenty of circumstances could have went other way, but he's solid with me. He's solid with me.
The most authentic artist I've ever worked with personally. And we really experienced some really cool shit together.
Fuck yeah. I knew it had to be. See, I don't know no details.
Before he got shot, and then before the feds came and got him and all of that stuff, and before they just re-indicted him again. I don't know if you know that, but
it made it real
it's
heavy.
Never it feels like it's never ending, man. But I mean, I'm with them. We talk a lot, and we went out to LA in 2019 a couple of times. The first time we went out there to kind of meet some of the people that he had been kind of like collaborating with in terms of like management and like kind of pushing things further. And you mentioned Nip, like, these people were super close with him.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that kind of like runs the label out there, they were in the 60s together, and like were really tight.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were out there, I mean, like all of those murals were fresh. We went to all those places. I was down at his food carts on Slauson with the guys that he left those food carts to, eating off those carts. It was wild.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, we went down there. This is kind of a funny side story. I'm really glad that you brought this up.
No, it's real life.
We're in LA and we're going down to South Central, and we're on Slauson. I have no clue what's going on because I'm on the phone booking the studio, and like, I had a guy working for me at the time who was doing sessions, and I'm on the phone. Everybody gets out of the car, and like I'm wrapping up my call, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like putting stuff on the calendar and putting the money in the books and all this stuff. And I hear, "Damn!" I look over, and it's Ray Coots' buddy out there that was real close with Nip. He's like, "Get out of the car!" So I'm like, "Get out of the car," and like come over there, and he's like, "Man, do you know where you are?" And I'm like, "Man, no, I have no clue where we are."
You're
he's
in
like,
the
"All right,
zone,
man." Like,
man.
yeah, he's like, "You can't be just like sitting in the car." Like all the lookouts were like popping up and being like, I'm in a black SUV with tent. I'm like a white guy sitting off Slauson, like dabbling with my phone, and I'm like the only guy in the car. Everyone's like, "Who the fuck is that?"
In the hood of the hood,
dude. I had no clue. Like, I mean, I'm aware of like Slauson and like the area, but I was on my phone for like 15 minutes. I had no clue where we had gone really. So I get out and I'm like, all right, like whatever. I'm going over and like I'm eating and I'm with Coot and he's like, you know, we're like eating
like just
chicken
normal
nachos.
shit.
He's like, it's like, you don't even know what's going on, do you? I was like, man, like we're eating lunch, and he's like, these are Nip's food carts.
Yeah,
you know, like these are like, you know, he bought all this shit. What, you know, and it's just the people that we met there. First off, they loved him.
mm-hmm.
His music, they worship Courtney like he's the next, you know,
yeah,
like, and he is.
But damn right, dude, smart. We got so much in common, brother.
If the circumstances work out, then it'll be really good for him he can get himself to that point.
Oh, dude, lightweight genius, bro. That's something.
The first time I heard him rap, he was staying a foot to your right. He was in this room in that corner. CJ brought him in here, and they were working on a song together, and I put the track on, and he started rapping. He didn't drop a bar. He did the whole verse. And I'm like, the hairs on my arm are standing up because sometimes, especially when you work on like rap music, there's such the factor of authenticity that you feel from the artist is such a driving factor in a lot of the songs.
And what you're going to put toward it.
It's not even like what you say as much as like how you say it and how that goes through somebody's filter and makes them react. When I heard him rap for the first time, I immediately was telling myself, wow, everything that this guy just fucking rapped about is a
real or believable.
Absolutely happened. Right. 100% absolutely happened.
But that's what I was going to say. It's like talking for him.
And he said it so eloquently and so artistically.
Yeah, because he studied shit.
But it was still so like grimy. And again, like you knew it was real. And he was like, how was that? And I remember coming over the talk back and telling him, that was amazing.
Hell yeah.
That was incredible. Do you always rap like this? Because when he came in, he was really quiet.
Yeah.
You know, and then he was like, you know, in that like, yeah, you know, like with that gravel in his voice. And all that. I was like, what the fuck?
Happened, yeah.
You know? And we developed a really, really cool friendship, man. I want that level of connection with everybody that I work with. And it's never up to me. That's the one thing about this, that the artist seeks me out as the collaborator, and then the relationship literally becomes whatever they want it to be. With Courtney, when we started working on records a lot, like, and I'm not saying like all clients should do this kind of stuff, but like he started like buying me lunch, and he started booking longer sessions, you know, and then like I remember there was a period where he was like worried about having to be on like house arrest. So he had me come to his house and spec his whole house out to like build a mobile
studio
booth where I could come and like record him there. And he was paying me to do all this. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't asking me to do anything that he wasn't compensating me for. He respected the business relationship a lot. He was super professional. And again, like just all those little things, you know? And then when it was, and again, like people will come in and be like, man, when I blow, you know, I'm taking you with me. I've been hearing that fucking song and dance for fucking 20 years, and that's cool.
Right.
He was going to take me with him wherever the fuck he went. When it was time to go to L.A.
And that was one of the things.
I'm bringing Tim with me. Make sure that you book us a studio. And they did that, and they put us in a fucking nice room. Yeah, and I went into that fucking room. Just show me where to plug my shit in so that I can work off the system. Happen. We ran that fucking room for 4 hours. People were coming in and out of that place that worked there and were like, damn, what the fuck are y'all doing? This is incredible. You know, and I'm not listening to any of it. I'm just completely focused on him because for me, that trip was like, this is like being in the minor leagues and getting called up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like we perform
now
here.
Now or never.
We perform here. You know what I'm saying? We can start talking about like this guy playing in the big leagues. You know, it's really tough going through him being and really feeling like he was on that precipice. Like we went in August of 19, I think was the first trip we went to LA. We did the studio session. We were going around. Kalen, I don't know if you know Kalen or not. Kalen, for real. Yeah. He signed to Rock Nation now. He's huge. When we first got to LA the first time, we were going to a video shoot that they were doing like at his old high school or something. You know, we were meeting these guys like right at the beginning of like a lot of momentum happening. Right? And, you know, all of this stuff's happening. We go back out there in the fall in October to shoot the music video for O-Dog, which has never been released. This video is done. It is
I was waiting to see it.
Incredible.
I was waiting to see it.
It is every minute of my life that goes by, because it's not the right time to put it out. He can't really benefit from it like he's supposed to in that situation. And if it comes down to this, what's going to have to be. I really hope that's not how it is.
Right. But God's grace.
We go out there, we do that video. This is a big budget thing for like an artist from Colombia. And again, I'm there for every second of it. It's very obvious to me. We go out there with like a lot of his friends and family the second time. There's a lot of stuff going on. Some of these guys have never been outside of Boone County in their life. He puts them in a van.
I've talked to him.
He moves them across the country. Because the first time that we went out to LA, I took Courtney during like downtime to Santa Monica. He had never seen the ocean in his life. So you have to put your feet in the fucking sand. And listen to the water. And just what's going on internally in someone's head like that all the time, all the talk. You know what I'm saying? All of he's always watching his back. He's always on the move. He's always, you know, just like that moment of calm. It was incredible. And he wanted all of those guys to experience that. And he made sure that they did. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We go out there, we do the video. And it becomes very obvious to me on that second trip that like his level of trust for me is super high because I'm out there with the people he knows the most.
Closest, yeah.
We're all living in the same house. We're all eating together. Like it's there, you know, and he was always so respectful, man, of not like respecting my boundaries with stuff, not overexposing me, not putting me in a bad place ever. And you know, then fucking all that bad shit happened, man. And it's still just, I want so bad for him. And not even just for him, man. And selfishly for myself a little bit, sure. I want to see somebody that I worked with organically from the start reach that level of success. It means a lot to me to get somebody to that point, especially somebody from my hometown. That would be the fucking pinnacle goal for me. If I
and then to not just have the taste, but the feeling.
Yeah.
Because let's be for real, like you say, the level, and you ain't talking to no fool or nothing. I seen the digital with the O-Dog trailer and everything.
I know you've probably seen
it. And I mean,
yes.
I ain't been out to pay homage. Slauson is the motherland for me, and I haven't been there. That hasn't been. I got to reestablish as a man first. And we know I'm getting, a lot of people say I'm there, but I'm getting there.
It took me so long to realize after that trip even that it was like being a foreigner in a different country and being completely welcomed in a place that has traditionally been stereotyped as super fucking dangerous.
Unwelcoming, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know? And it's funny because like now it's like I was almost like so naive on the trip. I didn't even know. And they did such a good job of making me feel welcome. Yeah. I never felt uncomfortable ever on those trips, wherever we went. I never felt like whatever. All the people who that we were with made me feel comfortable and protected. And there was never any drama out there. But we come back to Missouri and
all hell breaks loose.
The mall shooting and, you know, the guy's in the hospital for like not even 3 days. He's got bullets in his groin. and they come and yank him out of the hospital during COVID, a
Mhm.
fucking pandemic. Scary. You know what I'm saying? And not, he's been through it, dude. He's
He built tough.
he's
Yeah,
not.
I know a
His
little bit of
his mental trap is steel. That guy
Yeah.
is a Marine. But fuck, man, it's just you want for people bad,
Mhm.
and too many people, man. There's not enough room on the walls to put everybody's face up who's come through here, done something artistic, and then died.
You can't even
Or that we've
imagine like
lost.
me now with the convenience store.
Yes.
And I got Nip playing, I got Tupac, whatever. So I'm the it store. I'm Meechi, right? And now the mamas and daddies telling them he used to sell dope, and they get to see me. They like, shit, he ain't now, but I live that. So I'm in tune overly with this same genre, just like you say. I wake up one week, I lose 3 customers / kids
Yes.
/ brothers
Yes.
/ so I can imagine you with the
Even if we externalize it as much as possible,
we human.
I'll share this with you. It's not something I've been really like talking about a lot, except with people that I'm close with. I started doing transcendental meditation recently as like a stress relief and just kind of like general. It was a seed that was planted in my head by a mentor of mine like 8 years ago. He's like, you should try this. It would be really good for you. And one of the biggest like awakenings that I've had since I started doing TM, and the first time that I did it by myself without my instructor, I was having thoughts about Courtney, and I've had thoughts about other people. I had no idea how deeply emotionally like embedded I've been with these people, and how much like Monty, man. I could just keep naming and naming people, but like I've tried to not like take it in too much. You know what I'm saying? Because like
and
it's
attach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
we don't like
It's
attachments.
Yeah. Well, and it's just
Yeah.
it's a part of me like having boundaries and not being, the job requires you to have some level of like the compassion needs to be there. You have to understand the artist, you know what I'm saying? But when you go on these creative endeavors with people, they're letting down their barriers for you. They're putting their guard down so that they can express themselves. And so many times, recording sessions turn into therapy sessions with some of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like they're getting shit out of them that they had and it's so beautiful. It's the reason for doing the art in the first place. They feel something that they want to express it. They get this release and it's like, oh my fucking God. And it's like, and they also realize like, I am an artist. You know what I'm saying? And like these things happen and I'm going.
Or that I'll tell you the new shirt coming out. Hoodies will be by the end of this week, man. But I had to do it. I was just listening to it, bro. And you brought up Jay, and it's the same. They in the same fucking Benz. But when Biggie said, I went from negative to positive, and it's all good. That's the new motivator shirt.
Yeah.
And I was just working on the graphics with Mickey over at 573 T's, and I'm choosing to go local with my. I was like, what price, bro? I ain't gonna beat you up, but what price? And I got the overseas all on my phone, wanting to manufacture. But I love
did
COMO,
all of
bro.
Mine with 1-to-1 over there off it. Yeah, and I wanted to make sure I did.
You
my
like
local.
me? I can get this shit for, and it ain't even about the money. It's about quality and it's about what it means. So I wanted COMO made.
Though, is a big deal to me,
and that's what we doing. And I said it'd be lovely if I could put a negative and a /positive sign on the arm, so I know he's gonna figure it out. But no, man, that's just it. That's the story, man. And if you able to, no matter, even if it's a negative perception, if you able to change the perception, it's growth.
Yeah.
you know, especially the reality.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
damn right, ain't nobody said perfect.
Right.
Say negative to positive.
It's just wild, man. You do, though. You go through, and I know that you're intertwined in the community, and people like look up to you enough for you to like see people go through stuff, and you're involved in some way, shape, or form, and like you feel like you're helping them along the process. And then when we lose one of those people, even if they're not like super close to you, they're a part of you goes away. And it's like, and it's what I was talking about with the meditation and stuff. Like one of the first breakthroughs I had was like, damn, man, I really fucking love these guys. Like a lot. They mean a lot more to me than just like a business relationship or a creative relationship. And, you know, again, like just like, you know, when I talk to Courtney every day, it's like, you know, our friendship. And again, like I don't even have like what I would call friendships with all of my clients. A lot of they choose this path with me. You know what I'm saying? And it evolves into what it evolves into. But
because it could strictly be just a great business.
Not everybody is.
That seems friendly.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna do the same job for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
For
like
sure.
it just it becomes something different if it just, you know, if it evolves into that. You know what I'm saying? But it was one of those things, man. Like I really, really realized, like man, like I care about these dudes a lot, man. Sure. I want to see them be their best, and you know, guys come through, man, and like and rap's not like a serious thing for them. It's just it's something that they want to do. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? They come in here and I've seen it so many times, Meech, where like people come in and I see this sense of relief, and the song is never played outside of their circle of friends.
Right.
It never goes to like YouTube or like streaming. Some of these, they're still putting them on fucking CDs. You know what I'm saying? Who's listening to CDs still? You know what I'm saying? But like enough people in the crew have that playback method. So like that's how the music, some of these songs are still getting played like that. And it's wild. Like I never thought when I started making records, and again, doing it as a business was something that just kind of happened. Like I had to quit my actual job because I was making too much money making records to go to work anymore. But I never really thought about the side benefit of like the relationship and the friendship and the camaraderie and the connection. Well, that you get to have with people when you do this kind of stuff.
That
you know
being
what I'm saying?
it, just spiritual, even that made me bring it up. Like, and we never had a comment. Definitely, me and Courtney never talked about you. And whenever we talk, it probably was serious, because we two got very intelligent, didn't waste time, and didn't really associate a lot on the street.
Sure.
Of course, he's dealing with what, like you said, a house arrest thing and stuff, and I was just getting out.
Right.
But the thing, a lot of respect always remained there. Then we had a blemish with a past female of his becoming past of mine, and the full community know about it, so I ain't never ashamed of what's real, man. But the way that came out, man, is boss, though, is king. Like, me and Courtney had conversations surrounding that, man, and the shit came out. His word is bond with me, bro. And I can't say that about people, man. I've exchanged hundreds of thousands of dollars with dudes that I can't say that about.
Right.
And me and Courtney ain't never had a financial exchange.
Real recognized.
Real recognized.
Always.
So I say that to him like you say that, and it's crazy that I get to expel that with you, because in a weird way. The first time
I heard him rap, dude, I knew this guy is
different,
super authentic.
Yeah.
He doesn't. The person that he was behind the microphone was the person that he actually was. The performance wasn't a persona of his.
No.
It was the actual person. And he's never not that.
So I say that to say the
Not
weird part, that for me to express, like, as a man, you know what I mean? Candid to you, and this is crazy. And you got people that'll tell you I'm Meechi a gangster, this and that, whatever the fuck. I've been through survival, bro.
Sure.
But nevertheless, though, I've had certain thoughts, and I didn't know if men Courtney would be somebody crazy in the streets. No, we weren't. We had talk as men, and we come out as men, shaking hands.
Yes.
But to say the feeling when bro got assaulted out at the mall, it hurt me.
Yeah.
So to be on one side, like maybe we could be average, and I'm ready for that, and I'm a man, I'm a warrior, like any man, you know. Mm-hmm. And then to turn around and have a relationship proven real, and that person get physically, and then to see, like you say, the trauma. And it's one thing to talk about Court, like you say, he brick solid. But he got family and shit, man. Yes. Kids and shit.
And
come on, bro. I love mine.
He's that guy in his family.
He's that guy.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
And
so let's, you know.
Him. Yeah.
Whether, you know what I mean? And all I know is real there. So it's cool that I was able to express that with you in real and know in the alley street shit. Because I don't fuck around.
I'm so glad that you brought Courtney up.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you got that in, man, because we were right there. We were about to wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
I'm so glad that we got to talk about that because, well, for one thing, I didn't really talk about too much anything from like my perspective of much. I was really more interested in kind of like getting your story and stuff. But
we were saying we didn't know each other really, and we just knew around, and I had to collab with you on that because even when I first got in that Court had been out a little while, so I was tapping in, seeing what he was into.
Right.
And I seen you supporting him, and I seen the shit y'all was doing. I was like, that got to be some authentic shit.
We've worked on like
so
70
coming here,
together,
I was like, no, I do kind of know Tim because I know he's fucking with Court.
Right.
You know, so it was on my heart, bro. And that, of course, I don't talk to him, so blessings. Make sure he know that Allah is in his favor.
I will try to get a hold of him as soon as we're done here, man.
Yeah.
And let him know
Tell
what
him
we
I'm
did
praying,
tonight.
man.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. You want to wrap this up?
Shit,
We've been talking for like an hour and 45 minutes, dude. I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, real. To keep rolling if we don't. No, man.
This
good.
was
Or maybe
great,
this
man.
part one. Maybe part one.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Great, because it's greatness going on.
Absolutely, we have to do this again, man, because there's not enough to talk about in one episode. I figured that out really quick. As like
but how honorable, man.
Minutes.
Say that, and this is the story of it, man. It's motivated. That is what I want to wrap it up with.
Yeah,
I never know what I'm going into.
Is there anything else that you want to add? Please include it.
Just, man, business is big business. I'm doing right, so I ain't got to plug my businesses. People really know it. Motivated, Essentialz, everything that we do. But the thing spiritual being here, how could we bring up, you know, one of our artists, a working partner is yours, childhood, friends with his parents and everything, somebody that we both are emotionally connected to.
Yes.
And what he's going through. And then we talk about the triumph of another friend who went to Mizzou, who's doing fabulous in sports, and we're the shit right now. Let's just keep it frank.
Absolutely.
But Andrew Bailey, who graduated Mizzou, and now he's Attorney General. Crazy. So this was spiritual, bro. We had to do this. Yeah.
That was wild. And it's... in a town like Columbia, there's always more connections between people than we ever know.
I'm noticing that.
Always. Some
rich ones
It's a 1 degree separation of town, you know. But I mean, it's true though, and that is exactly the reason why I wanted to start this podcast, because there's certain people in Columbia more than any other place I think I've ever been, and part of it's my hometown and I have bias, but there are townies here. That's what I call them, you know, like. There's certain people I've been like, I want you on the show because you're COMO as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
You better
like,
know it.
in this town, you know, and I've especially just like, you know, like in the community that you represent, like you are like kids look up to you. People like respect your story. They understand like where you come from. We need those people out here, man, because there's not a shiny beacon of hope all the time.
You better know.
You know what I'm saying? At all. And Columbia, again, like the show is about like showcasing the interesting people. You know what I'm saying? But I really wanted to talk to you early on, and I mean it. You were one of the first people I wanted to talk to because I wanted to kind of set the tone with the show that like I don't want to just go like talk to like just like like the business owners or like, you know what I'm saying? All the people that do like the Dancing with the Stars shit at Mizzou or like what I don't care about like I'm not trying to like promote people's businesses. I want to talk to people that have awesome, interesting stories.
Real life.
You know what I'm saying? That like people relate to, not just like, you know, our upper crust establishment or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to talk to you about like the case and like the evolution of all of that stuff.
For sure.
That's the stuff that I'm after, man. So I'm really happy that we got to do this, man. Because for one thing, you knocked it the fuck out of the park.
I appreciate it,
you know what I'm saying?
bro.
But for
Hell
another,
I appreciate
I
it.
really needed to have a guest come in that I could like set the tone with, and figure out. The first couple episodes of this are going to kind of like mold it into what it's going to be like later on down the line. So I'm really glad that I got started off with you because we're not holding back any punches. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I want to give
episode 1,
you.
we're talking about dope dealing, fucking highway trafficking,
right?
Doing time, fucking.
And that gave me. I was talking to my assistant earlier to give you kind of a little bit of roses. No, give you roses. This. I've done hundreds of interviews from the Clemency. Now I'm doing them where COMO Mag is calling me Essential. I'm in Vox coming up.
That's great.
But I was talking to and now the name of the show just slipped me, but you're gonna know Gilly and Wallow. I'm like drink champs. Me and my assistant was talking, Margie, before coming over here. And I said, you know what? We always, like a couple minutes before I go do something, I do it off the fly because I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I think this is gonna be some off-key shit, like drink champs or talking to Wallow or somebody fucking with Tim. So no, it's cool to be more and to be able to be intimate.
I didn't want it to be like, here's the questions I'm gonna ask. I really just wanted to we sit down and we have a conversation. We've never had one before.
Hash it out.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we did this, man. Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. And I always tell people, I leave with this. I always tell, and I know you can relate, but I tell people I love Como like Pac loved Cali.
Yes.
You know, he was from the East Coast, but you couldn't tell him.
I mean, like I moved away 4 years ago, and here I am, like making a Como-centric podcast at my studio in Columbia. I'll never be able to get away from the town, and other than the fact that like my parents are here, and I always have roots here. You know what I'm saying? I love Columbia, dude.
Yes, sir.
And I do. I see ways that we can showcase like the good things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many outlets to do that. We don't hear about that stuff enough. And we hear about the bad shit way too much.
Yep.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
Represent.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I really appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.